I want to welcome everybody tonight to the this regular meeting of the Board of Finance, December 10th. Let's call the meeting to order and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we begin with the formal agenda, December 2nd was supposed to be the swearing-in ceremony, and we got some bad weather that night. It's a little ironic, I guess, that we have bad weather threatening tonight. And because of busy schedules, that ceremony wasn't able to be rescheduled. That said, I think, on behalf of the entire Board of Finance, I wanted to reach out to the folks who are rejoining the board or joining the board. Nick, Cynthia, Brian is not with us, but want to thank you for running. Often the first step is the hardest, right? Getting into the ring. So thank you for running and congratulations on being elected.
Thank you.
Not a swearing-in ceremony, but hopefully a recognition. So thank you. Okay, beginning with the official agenda, public comments. Correspondence. All right, consideration of approval of election of officers. The town charter, specifically section C9-1A, requires us in the December meeting, the first December meeting, to pick a chair and a vice chair. So we need to do that today, and I guess I'd open it up for motions.
I would like to nominate,
I'm sorry. Good.
I'd like to nominate Robert Manfredi, Frida, for the chair position.
I'd second that.
Is this fine? No, that was my motion. I'm fine with that.
Are we doing one at a time?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll do chair, and then we'll do vice chair.
Okey-doke.
I guess we have a motion, any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. I can promise to work hard.
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Brian Terzian for vice chair.
Okay, do we
And I
have a
would second that.
Okay.
I would like to nominate Wendy Smith for vice chair.
And I'll second that.
We have a second. Okay. So we have two nominations. Let's, we had a motion, we've had those seconded, so discussion.
I think it's a 4-3 board, and I think it should be bipartisan, and I think it would go a long way if we split up the two different roles.
Absolutely.
I think it would just be a good olive branch so we can all work together. That's all I have to say.
Ditto.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right. Let's begin with the first motion on the table. All those in favor of Brian Terzian as vice chair, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's, I want to make sure that it's not opposed, it's an alternative vote. Those with an alternative vote, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I don't even understand that. What does that mean?
You just voted no against the motion, that's all it was.
No, yeah, I
Yeah.
know, so.
Just fancy way of saying it.
Okay, it's semantics, you didn't want it to seem
It's
like a
We're not
negative.
opposing Brian.
Right, no, I got you.
I get it.
All right, so we then have the second motion on the table with a second. That is the nomination, and now the nomination of Wendy as the vice chair. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye to the
I'm sorry, aye. Not
no.
against Wendy, I
Aye
like
to the
Wendy.
no.
Oh, nice, Nick, sure.
I say aye to the no. Aye to the nay.
So, yeah, you have all that?
Yes. Now, I'm sorry, did you vote?
I did.
Okay, I'm just making
I
sure.
don't know if you're supposed to vote for yourself, but I did.
Okay. You are. Okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay, moving down the agenda, approval of the regular minutes for the December 12th and the November 18th meeting. I think that'll be the folks sitting on this side of the table. Let's begin with the November,
No,
Do you
no
do
secretary?
secretary or no?
no, we're not gonna do secretary.
Okay.
The charter requires only the chair and the vice.
Okay, that's
No
fine.
mention of secretary, and that actually was through discussion with most of the members on this board. Okay, sorry, so,
We have a good recording secretary.
Yeah.
so if we could, let's look at the November 12th and November 18th minutes. Maybe start with the November 12th minutes.
I move to approve the minutes of November 12th.
I will second.
Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'd like to abstain, I was not here.
Now moving on to the November 18th minutes.
I'd make a motion to approve the minutes from November 18th as presented.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 All those
Abstain
opposed?
again.
I abstain.
You got all that, Deanna? Okay, thank you. We now move on to the next agenda item, that is the consideration of the 2020 meeting schedule. Again, the town charter, specifically section cap C 9-1 cap B, requires that we get it to the town clerk, I think before January 31st, so we're a little bit ahead. We have a schedule in front of us. Dion, I'm assuming that this is just the regular rhythm, the second Tuesday of each month with a 7:30 start time. Kind of just carried over from where we are now.
Just, may I, is there any consideration to moving the meeting to 7
Yes.
instead of 7:30?
I second that. If it's,
I mean, just, I know Daylene, you had issues, kids or something, is that still?
I'm okay with 7. If you want to
let's just see, so when it goes, if it goes past 8:30.
I'm usually sleeping by 8:30, so that might help me.
Oh, you can fall asleep there, it's okay.
Okay, we'll go with 7.
Done it.
So just to kind of continue, I guess, with our Robert's Rules formality, I move, or I put a motion on the table to accept the presented Board of Finance 2020 regular meeting schedule to start at 7 o'clock, as submitted for our review. Do I hear a second?
I second it.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, moving on to the last item for tonight's agenda, that's the comptroller's report.
Okay, before the meeting, I handed out the summary of the revenue and expenses, the front page of the revenue. Everything appears to be in line. There's no surprises there. And when you move to the back page of the first page, that's the expenditures. And the same thing is mostly true, except for the normal issues that we have, like with probate. We house the court for Newtown, Reading, and Richfield, and you'll see the 7th and 8th one down on page 3, which we're in a deficit position of 2,061 at this point, but we get reimbursed at the end of the year for the pro rata share based on the population of the other towns compared to the town of Bethel. So that's in line. Some of the other things that might pop is the prepayments that we've made on town insurance. When you look at the total that's been spent, it's in line, but we prepay. We're on the 3rd installment of 4 installments with the insurance company. They want the premiums paid up front. Couple other items, Public Works. The wages appear to be a little bit on the high side, but that's because of the departure of our Public Works Director and the payment that was made to him on departure. The Highway Department, it's all the road work that was done, from July 1st until now. Everything else for the next number of months until the springtime will be pretty much quiet, so that takes care of, any, you don't really see it when you're looking at the numbers, but when I analyze the different categories, that kind of pops for me to say, what's going on. The same thing with the tree warden, that's on the
Excuse me,
high side.
what's the normal time frame, the lag time for the highway department bills to come in? I know there's a significant.
Well, what I
lag time.
normally do is I take the current expenditures and I divide it by the 5 months. Right now, we're in 5 months, and you multiply it by 12, it would indicate to me that it may be over,
Okay,
and then I just look
so
into
you just
the-
straight line it through the next
That's all,
5 months?
that's all I'm doing, you know.
Okay.
Tree warden, because of the road work, there's a lot of tree work that's being done at the same time, so his expenditures are a little bit on the high side. Bethel Fire Department is another category. They had some work that was done on a ladder truck, and there was, I think it was about 20, it's the last page, $24,639 in maintenance work there. So, you know, that would account for any overage, potential overage there. The last thing is miscellaneous charges. It looks like it's really out of whack, but it's because we transferred the capital non-recurring over to the capital non-recurring account. We normally do that during the year or later on in the year. That 620 was already moved in for payment of the capital items that are approved by the Board of Finance. So everything is fine there. It's just that when you do the straight line analysis, it tends to throw that number out of whack. So that's about it. Everything else appears to be pretty much in line. And I would just say, if you have any questions, just let me know.
So Bob, at least for me, the takeaway from that is we're 5 months into the fiscal year, July 1, 18 through November 30th. Excuse me, July 1, 19 through November 30th of 2019. And this all looks to you to be about right. There's no,
Correct.
nothing
Correct.
in here either on the revenue side or on the expense side
Mhm.
that we should start thinking about now, because it may present a problem further down.
I don't see that right now. I mean, we're at 5 months is 42% of the year, and if you look at the reports on the right-hand side, it says the amount that's that was expended, and they're all pretty much in line, except for some of the ones that I just mentioned because of, like insurance, let's say. Probate court, 137%, you know, but we get reimbursed for that, and that comes in at the end of the year. We bill them towards the end of June, and, you know, by middle of July, the 3 towns reimburse us.
If there's an insurance rate adjustment, when does that come? Fourth quarter?
The what?
The insurance, I mean, that's not based on our fiscal year, is it?
Oh, yeah, that's
It is?
fiscal year, yeah.
It's on calendar.
They start, the first bill comes in July,
Oh, okay,
you know, and we just got the 3rd one, you know, and that's 3 out of 4.
yeah.
For workers' comp and also liability, auto, and personal property.
Okay, that's convenient.
Yeah.
And Bob, the highway was just because we just bought catch basins, asphalt, that's why it kind of jumped off a little bit.
And it's all the road work that's performed during that frame of,
Right, you know,
from
the
July
push-
to now.
Push up to
I
winter.
mean,
right?
now, I don't know if the plants have closed, but they have, yeah, so, you know, you're not gonna see any change there for.
So now it's just basically labor and
Right, it's, the construction expenses are compressed into the summer, then it drops
hurry
off.
up and go, right?
Yeah.
I got you.
Bob, so when I look down and I see 0%, it just makes me wonder on a couple of things. What would make it not, because we're 5 months in, so almost halfway through, so what would make it not, any of it be spent yet?
Which one is 0%?
Well, there's a,
What account, yeah.
oh, well, there's a couple of them, but pick anyone. There's like fuel oil. There's a bunch of them. but I
That would
know
be in
some of them would-
utilities. So, there was no purchases at this point on that, or, I'd have to look into the utility account itself. It might have been a misposting, rather than going into fuel, it went into the utility account. I mean, I know we bought oil, we have to buy
Right,
oil.
that's what I'm asking. So what about like something like paramedic intercept? Is that just because we didn't have it yet? We haven't used it?
No, we just didn't make that transfer to the paramedic intercept account, that's all.
Okay.
Yep.
And Bob, in connection with that one specifically, just so we're all on the same page, don't we typically do that once a year?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that revenue that the town puts into the paramedic intercept program, along with the payment that we do receive from Reading, because we charge them for uses of their cars, the fuel, and the maintenance. And then also what Bethel Fire Department and Stony Hill Fire Department reimburses for based on the calls that they do. For the ALS calls, not the BLS calls.
And we're just sharing it with Reading, not Newtown? Is that, we're.
Paramedic is just Reading, just Reading.
Reading. We're splitting with Reading and,
We pay a fee to Danbury Hospital, they pay a fee to Danbury Hospital, but we have an agreement with Reading to reimburse us based on the use of
per
the
call
cars,
or something, is that how it goes? Or
gas and,
per call, is that, I mean,
Yeah, we do that. We do it based on a call ratio.
so we're paying the whole thing, but if they go down there 10 times, we get 10 taxi
We
rides.
prorate the total number of calls every quarter, and they pay their share of maintenance costs.
So all the costs are aggregated, all the trips are aggregated, and then whatever their percentage is, they reimburse us.
It runs 22-23%, somewhere around there.
To Reading.
To Reading, yeah,
So if they had no calls, they wouldn't pay us any money,
correct.
but they'd have the ability to use the service.
So what about, like, another thing with 0% is under highway with the snow and ice sand and the salt and the contracting. Wouldn't they have done that by now?
Not yet, because he does buy the sand and the salt at the end of the season
Okay,
for anticipation for this year. And then we did do the sand beds, and so that'll start coming in later on into the winter, when he
Okay.
starts to use it.
So he's using what's in stock right now.
That's right.
okay. And what about the contracted snow? There's a contracted, something for the snow and ice.
Contractor snow, at this point, that if there's any bills that may be at the highway department, they haven't gotten to us yet. But we
Okay.
only had the one storm, so I don't think that we'd have anything major at this point.
Okay,
We paid one last week. So it's not-
One?
Yeah, so the first payment for snow and ice contracted was made in December. Your report is for the end of
November
I got it,
See you next month.
yeah. Like to make sure they're spending the money.
Any other questions for Bob?
Can you print it a little bigger next time?
Then I gotta do 2 pages, it's gonna
I'll
cost the
bring
town
my
more money.
glasses, I'll bring my glasses.
Rather bring the magnifying glass.
I just also wanted to bring up, we're getting into the budget season now. The department heads have started returning their budgets. We use OpenGov, it's a web-based program. And Matt and I and Brad will start to meet with the different department heads on Monday, going through prior to Christmas. And we're going to look to see the amount of the detail that are in their budgets at this point, and if there isn't as much as, well, we didn't have much last year, so we're looking to present more information to you this year. Whatever might be on the short side, we're just gonna have them embellish it and change the budgets. So when you look at a particular account in highway maintenance, you can break down the different categories of maintenance, let's say, and then it would roll up to the total number. So you could look at the program and see the individual amounts in there, all right? And then see the total for that particular account as well. So we're gonna start to do that on Monday, and by the time the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen receive the budgets, I mean, it's gonna be more information than last year.
OpenGov was nice, my personal feeling, but I don't feel that it gave enough detail, or like the budget books.
Well, that was the first time that we did it.
Mhm.
I mean, we're thinking about maybe 2 that up on the screen. I do some general in Excel, the same budget book, but in general terms. Maybe keep that up there, that may have some detail. And then you could look at our OpenGov at the same time and correspond the 2, you know.
Does Nick have a login for that? Right.
It's, well, there's no login, well, you have,
Yeah,
all
yeah,
of yours have
from
logins.
last year, we do,
But
so.
there's no access to it now until after all the department heads submit their budgets. So
Okay.
he will have it shortly.
Because I was on there looking at last year's, I could see
You can
last
still look at last year's.
Right, so-
Yeah,
Brad sent the budget, you know, I had a question, you know, every department was pretty broken down, salt, sand, cars. But the Board of Ed was, the 450 was just one number, and then I think 460 is the building maintenance, I believe?
yes.
How come that's not broken down?
They have their own budget that you can,
They don't have to break that down?
Oh, they do, you'll get it separately.
Oh, okay.
They're working on it now, but you'll, it's a couple thousand lines, you'll
Yeah,
get all,
Thousand.
You'll
oh
get
yeah,
enough
you'll get all the
lines, Nick.
detail you want.
Don't worry, there'll be a lot of lines.
Okay.
So Bob, would you say that with the new level of detail that you're putting into OpenGov, it will be 90% similar to the binders we used to get?
I don't know about 90%, but, I mean, we'll move it up from last year. Last year, pretty much was bare bones, let's say. I mean, we were just starting with the program, we didn't know the program, we were learning the program, so now that we have a better feel for it, we're gonna have more information in there. An account like, or a department like the First Selectman's Office or the town clerks, they're pretty generic. I mean, it's only gonna have office dues and subscriptions, and maybe the lease car and salaries, But when you get into, planning, or park and rec, or the senior center, there's gonna be more detail in those.
So do you guys have a more detailed, like Excel spreadsheet or something that you could share with us?
We have to create the different categories within the budgets, so once it's available, then you'll be seeing that.
Not in OpenGov, this is a separate document.
In OpenGov.
It is in OpenGov.
Yeah. But then I use the old Excel worksheet, and Brad works on the OpenGov, and then we make sure the two numbers agree.
Okay.
And if they don't, we gotta figure out where the difference is. Because Excel is used for a lot of the other calculations, like the mill rate and percentages of this and that,
Right.
so.
I would just echo Wendy's comment in that we need more information this year. So the binders were fantastic, but we don't want to kill that many trees.
Okay.
So
Mhm.
we need to find the middle of the road, I guess.
Mhm.
The only thing I would add to it would be that I think it'd be really helpful if what's being presented is what we're looking at. I think we had a couple situations last year where
Yeah,
there may have been a little disconnect, and I think it was just a bump in the road perhaps of doing it for the first time.
there were a couple of department heads who used their old method. So you're looking at OpenGov and they were using the old spreadsheet, and it didn't go in the same order.
It really slowed down the process, and I'm
Yes.
not sure we felt really good at the end of the process either about whether we
So
were on the
is it-
same page.
Is there an opportunity for the presenters to at least see what OpenGov looks like? Because I know that they're presenting from their materials without knowing what we're looking
Well,
at.
they do the inputting into OpenGov.
Yes,
They should know exactly what they put into the different categories.
they should, but, maybe if they had materials in front of them that echoed
Yeah.
OpenGov, printouts or a copy of OpenGov or whatever it is, we won't have as much
Yeah,
variation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Is there-
I'd like to
I'm sure
see-
they input it, but they're not presenting based on what we're examining.
if you do a data dump of all the information that's in there, like the salaries, you're gonna get all the salaries together.
Yeah,
You know.
I understand that. We had that problem last year, that we couldn't,
couldn't break it out.
The reporting or extract was.
I mean, I'd love to see
was
if
very
you go
limited.
into town clerk's office and just print out
But
what's
even if
in-
they had screen prints, a screen print of the basics would make a difference. There has to be some solution besides,
I wonder if we could do that. I'll check,
okay.
I suppose while we're doing our wish list, I would like if any department is any of the departments, when they come to us, that the information that they share that evening is not a surprise to us, and we have any of the documentation beforehand. I mean, for example, the fire department came in with a whole presentation.
Well,
That
you know there's a
information-
section in there where they can add documents, PDFs and all?
Right.
I mean, they should do that.
Yes,
They
I
should
mean,
bring them to the meeting.
I don't want to hear something the first time.
Right.
Yeah.
And take a, half hour to hear
Yeah.
something that we could have easily read, ourselves.
Ahead of time.
I think that was
We
the
don't
only
need it.
situation, the fire department, that was kind of way off base. They had a whole different presentation in the meeting than
Right.
what we saw ahead of time.
Mhm.
But that might have been singular, might have been.
Okay.
And then are we going to ask them, those departments that have capital requests, not capital, the 5-year capital plan, or
Yeah,
10-year.
capital.
Yeah.
Those,
Not
are they
seen it.
going to make
Most-
that part of their presentation at
Yep.
the, okay.
And a lot of that has been submitted already.
Okay.
Yeah, because that was a little, if I'm remembering it correctly, that was a little inconsistent last year. Sometimes the department
Right.
would talk about their capital, and sometimes we did it more globally. But again, just I think what we're hearing is to do it in a kind of consistent way so that the presenter and the board is all on the same page.
Right.
But no surprises that night.
She's warning you.
Bad chance, Wendy.
I know.
No surprise.
Good wish list.
That's all I have.
All right,
Any
thanks, Bob.
more comments, questions for Bob?
I'd like to make a motion to approve Bob's report to the committee.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oh, and happy holidays.
Yeah,
Don't
happy
forget.
holidays, everybody.
Let me